What's up, guys? What's up, YouTube? Wandering Nomad here. Um, Wanted to take today and give you guys some information that you wanted to know, some you didn't know if you wanted to know. Um, yeah, and again, I personally am on the Shaffer side, which is the refrigerated division. The information I have is only for Crete Carrier and Shaffer Trucking. I do not have information on Hunt. I believe they have their own recruiters, but if you have any questions, I would be willing to contact my recruiter and see if she knows anything um, about Hunt. So a little bit about the company. They've been in business over 50 years. They operate debt free, so that means these handy dandy pens they give you in orientation, they're not bought with debt. These hats that they give you in orientation, not bought with debt. Trucks, all of that, they're not in debt. Everything they do, they pay for in cash. If they don't have the money for it, they don't buy it. It allows them to be one of, if not the industry leader as far as driver retention. I believe they said their turnover rate is somewhere like 47 to 50%, while the industry standard is 120%. So the fact that they're able to keep drivers is a big testament to how this company is run. Another thing, when you go into the truck stops, talk to a Crete driver. You will never hear a Crete driver complain about the company. But I figured, since I'm still here in this hotel, truck's still in the shop, getting ready to go out to Greensboro, North Carolina, I would answer some questions that obviously some of the big ones, pay and that kind of stuff, but I'll also answer questions you didn't even know you had. Now, all my stuff's in my truck, so I wrote everything on the back of this handy dandy plate. So without further ado, let's get you that information. I know the big one everybody wants to know is pay. Now, pay depends on your experience. They do take new drivers. They will take new drivers. However, you have to go to one of the schools on their approved list. A list of those can be found on the website. I might see if I can't link that in the description for you guys. But as far as pay, if you are fresh out of school, say you go to one of their approved schools, you are fresh out of school. While you're on your trainer's truck, after orientation pay of, I think it's $250. Don't quote me on that. I don't have my stubs in front of me. But I think it's like $250 orientation pay before taxes. Their pay for a student driver during your training is $700 a week. Once you get out of training, and by far this is the best out of any company that will take a brand new driver, they will pay 41 cents on the Crete side, the dry van side, and 43 cents on the Shaffer side. Many companies are still hanging out in the low to mid 30s. Couple up there maybe in the upper 30s, but this is by far the highest starting pay that I've seen at any company. And that increases depending on your experience. Now, what they do as far as experience, say you're coming in here, I've got 30 years experience, never missed a day, or never took time off. What they do is they look at the last 5 years. If you have 5 years of verifiable experience in the last 5 years, on the Crete side you will start at 53 cents a mile. On the Shaffer side you will start at 56. That is their highest top out pay. I'm not 100% what the top pay is right now. I know it takes, I think, anywhere from 4 to 7 years to get to the top pay, and I think it's based on miles per year, or not miles per year, but your overall mileage. Like every 100,000 miles or whatever, you get a penny. So yeah, about pay, there is money to be made here. And because they're not paying a leasing company or a finance company for the trucks, they can afford to pay that. They can afford to pay you more because they're not having to pay out everybody else. Sign-on bonus. A lot of people want to know about sign-on bonus. At Crete, there is none. One of the reasons that I've heard for this is they communicate with drivers when they're debating doing something. We don't have pre-pass, we don't have navigation, because they actually went to the drivers and said, would you rather have navigation or whatever it was, 2-cent across the board raise? And unanimously, people are like, well, I've got Google Maps on my phone and a $20 Atlas in my truck, so I don't need navigation. I'll take that 2 cents. That's what I've heard also for the sign-on bonus. They do have other bonuses, quarterly bonuses, and that varies depending on whether you're with Crete or Shaffer. You have to meet a certain mileage over the course of that quarter, and you have to, they have a point system here. Anything you do that requires points, or that anything you do negative gives you points. Everything you do positive is negative points. So naturally you want to be negative. I mean, I just started here, but I'm at a -2 because in my orientation, I elected to take the defensive driver course, the Smith system course. I was there anyway. I had to do a sleep study, so I elected to do that. So I actually got -2 points for that. But you want to be below 12 points to get the 2 cents per mile bonus on that. But they don't do sign-on bonuses. They want to be able to pay the drivers more, because if you think about it, if they do, say, $5,000, they'd rather give you that $5,000 over the course of the year, every year, rather than just a one-time thing. So a lot of people ask about truck types. They have Freightliner Cascadias, International Pro Stars, and International LTs. The Pro Stars are being phased out due to their age. I think the oldest trucks in their fleet are 2016. That's what I have right now. It's in the shop. So they're starting to phase those out, as well as the 2020s are coming in. That matches with the truck life with the company. What they do is around, I've heard 400,000, I've heard 500,000 miles. They start looking for a buyer for the truck while it's still under warranty. They can get a little bit more money out of it if it still has warranty left, whatever. But usually by 500,000 miles, you're getting into a different truck. They don't want to keep those trucks where they're going to start breaking down constantly or anything like that. And not to say they would. Crete takes amazing care of their vehicles. I had a little hiccup with mine, but it turned out to be a major repair. So, but I mean, as soon as I got in there, they got me in right away. I think it was the next day, somebody came in from Freightliner, diagnosed the problems. Truck ended up having to go to the dealership. Detroit had to come out and take a look at it. They have mileage based services, what they call A service and B service. A service is just your standard lube job and that kind of stuff. B service is the big one, the oil change and the everything goes in with that. It varies depending on truck as well. I want to say my truck was 30,000 miles, but the newer trucks, they can go 50,000 between B services. You want to make sure you get it in there when it's due for the B service, otherwise you could void the warranty, yada yada, all that normal stuff. But they do take care of their trucks. I have a 2016 right now with 425,000 miles on it, that, with the exception of this issue that I'm having right now, that thing runs like it's new. The transmission, it's a 10-speed manual. Transmission shifts like butter. before the fuel injector went. It was pulling hills like no other. I mean, it gets up to speed quick. It'll pull a full load really well. Let's see, breakdown pay. Breakdown pay is one that that a lot of people have questions about. And don't quote me on this because I'm just kind of rolling with the punches. I believe it's 12 hours, and then you get that weird hair there. And then you get $50 for the next 12 hours or next 24. I'm not sure how it works. And then it's $100 a day. That's why I said in my last video, I'm not going to get rich on breakdown pay. I want to be out on the road. That's what I'm out here to do. You know, if I was going to be sitting somewhere, I'd rather be sitting at home. But they're really good about that. They will put you in a hotel, and once you get more than a day, they're starting to question. They're starting to try to figure out what's going on with the truck, what they can do, loaner truck, swap truck, recoveries, that kind of stuff. Another thing people ask about is detention pay. I haven't dealt with that too much, even on the reefer side. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 hours free. After that, it is $15 an hour. Again, you make more driving, but it is a great supplement. Like on Shaffer, if you can get 2,500 miles in a week and sit in a dock for 8 hours, I mean, you're not only making that 2,500 miles, but you're making that $15 an hour detention for either 6 or 7 hours. So it does supplement pretty well. Home time. This is a big one. I'm married, so I want to be able to see my wife. You know, I got a family at home. You know, I want to see my wife, my parents. I don't have any kids, thankfully, but home time. That depends on what you do. They have a bunch of dedicated accounts that could get you home weekly. Check with your recruiter for what's going on in your area. You could get home weekly. You can get home maybe twice a week on some accounts, like some of the Walmart accounts maybe. But their main national fleet is 21 days out, 3.5 days at home, I think. But they will start sending you messages saying, hey, we're trying to route you home. We see you have 6 days till you get home, or till your home time. So they will start sending you messages and looking at routing you. So you, like myself, I live in Pennsylvania. But say I'm out in California. Well, maybe they'll start working me across, and, you know, with 3 days to go, I'll be east of the Mississippi. You know, then with 2 days to go, I'll be somewhere in the Northeast so that I can get back home when I'm supposed to. I've never heard anybody complain about their home time here. Everybody seems quite happy with the way they do it. I'm still relatively new to the company, so I don't know personally. You can request home time for wherever you want. You tell your asset manager that you want to go to Disney. You want to take 3 or 4 days off and go to Disney. They'll give you a load going to Orlando. As long as you got somewhere to park the truck. They might be able to find something for the trailer, but as long as you got somewhere to park the truck, safe and legal, they'll get you there. See what's next. Stop work authority. I don't know if that's what they call it here, but they do have it. Say you're out in Wyoming. It's December, it's snowing. You got to go over that hill between Cheyenne and Laramie. They will not question you if you do not feel safe to drive that truck. Safety is their big thing here. You have the authority to tell them that you do not feel safe running the truck, and they cannot force you to do so. They don't care if Dave, Johnny, and Jim just rode over that hill, because each person feels safe doing different things. That's not to say that you won't feel safe doing it, but you have that option if you need it. You have the ability to tell them that you do not feel safe doing it, and they won't question it. Bluetooth policy. They do allow Bluetooth. I came from Schneider. Schneider said no, not even on Bluetooth. They disabled Bluetooth in their trucks. No Bluetooth. Here you can. At Crete and Shaffer you can. However, it has to be one touch. It's basically by DOT rules. One touch. You can reach up, push that button on your ear and say, call Jimbo. And that's okay. If you have to reach up and dial in the number, that's a no-no. If Crete finds out you were doing that, you're out the door. They want good drivers. They want the best of the best. They want the safest. They don't play around. There's what you guys will learn as the unforgivables. U-turns, jackknifes, rear end collisions, texting and driving. The unforgivables. It doesn't matter if you have 5 million safe miles with the company, you will be fired on the spot. Also, do not record while driving. Do not take pictures while driving. Resist that urge. You'll never see me. I'll post a video while I'm in the dock. I'll post a video while I'm down for the night, whatever. Do not post while driving. It doesn't matter if you're moving at 2 miles an hour, wanting to take pictures of how slow the traffic's going. Don't do it. All right. Enough about that. 48 state. Is it a true 48 state, or basically will you be shuffled to the Northeast and be stuck there? Absolutely, it is 48 state. You will not be stuck. I was with another company. Didn't last long with them because I lived in Denver at the time. I started my trucking career in Denver. They would shuffle me over to the Northeast and leave me there. I would be stuck in the Northeast, basically east of 65 and north of 40. And it gets tiring when you're just wanting to go home, or you're wanting to try to find a run that even puts you past the house. So maybe you could sleep in your bed for a night on your way to your delivery, as long as you can, of course, make it on time. And, so I'm talking to my wife from 2 time zones away every day. And I don't mind doing that I don't mind doing that. That's what I'm out here to do. But I also came out here to see the country. So 48 state at Crete and Shaffer is 48 state. You will go to California. You will go Washington, Idaho, Montana, Texas, you name it. You can go there. With that, New York City. They don't force New York City. They do highly suggest it when you put in your when they send you a load. But if you do New York City, they will pay you $100 for driving through there, or for picking up or delivering in New York City. So that's a big plus for them. Pet policy. Yes. Don't quote me on this. I think they said it's a $750 deposit, which they can take out of your check. But yes, they do allow pets. I really didn't ask about restrictions or anything like that. But that's something I can get with my recruiter on. Rider policy, absolutely free. And they actually do, they do it interesting. I don't remember what they said the length of time was for children and friends. But when you get an authority for your spouse, when you get the rider authority for your spouse to come on the truck, that is good for 10 years. You do not have to reapply for that rider for 10 years with Crete when it's a spouse. I think it's like 1 year for friends or something like that, 2 years for children. I don't remember that, but the one that stuck out to me, because of course I'm married, is that a spouse authorization form is good for 10 years. Let's see. Fuel. They use all of the major truck stops: TA, Petro, Loves, Flying J, and Pilot. I've found more of the Pilot and Flying J and Loves in my personal experience, but it probably depends on what part of the country you're in. If fuel's cheaper at TA, they'll send you to TA. APUs. They do not have APUs. They have OptiIdle, which kind of works similar. It just uses a little bit more fuel, but they have OptiIdle on their trucks rather than APU. Inverters. The trucks do have inverters. If it doesn't, they will put one in for you. I have a 2016 that they have an inverter in. So, and it's not just for CPAP. Fridges. The new trucks are being rolled out with fridges. However, they said you're welcome to put one in if you have an older truck that doesn't have one. But yeah, the fridges, the new ones are starting to come with fridges. Amenities at terminals. I've only been to 2 of them. I'll be at a 3rd one here when I get out to Greensboro, North Carolina. They all have showers free of charge. They have laundry free. And then, of course, lounges and TV rooms and little break cafeteria style rooms and that kind of stuff. So they do have all of that. Also, they are staffed, and the shops are here late. Now, as far as staffing, they're not 24/7 staffed at some of them. I'm guessing Lincoln might be 24/7, because that's where most of the asset managers or dispatchers, as most other companies call them. But that's where most of the asset managers are. That's where mine is out in the headquarters in Lincoln. How long can you have the truck before it's reassigned? That depends on you. There are a lot of companies out there that say if you take more than 4 days off, clean out the truck so we can reassign it. I've heard of people having their truck for 2 weeks. If they're on vacation or whatever. Which, speaking of vacation, I believe it's 1 year is 1 week paid at your average weekly rate. So instead of saying, oh, it's at $500, they will actually take your average, and that will be what you get. I can't remember if it's 2 years or 5 years, you get 2 weeks, 10 years, you get 3 weeks. Same deal. But yeah, that is before the truck's reassigned. Now, you might be able to work something out with your asset manager where, if you're taking 3 weeks, if you've been here 15 years and you're taking 3 weeks vacation, you might be able to work with them on that. Let's see. Dispatch type. Do you pick your loads? No. You do get dispatched. You do have the option to turn down a load, but you better have a good reason, and that will kind of bump you down in the queue, because they're going to find somebody who will take the loads. I've seen no reason to turn down a load. They give you time on the loads. Communicate. That's what you got to do, especially if you're running Shaffer. Because you might think, say your appointment at your deliveries at noon, you might think you'll be ready at 2, and then you find out, well, it's going to take them 8 hours to unload me because I got to lump all the freight, they got to break down all the pallets. At that point, you're not going to be ready for a load at 2. So just communicate with them. They work with you quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, another question that I ran into with um, um, a previous company. Does dispatch pull the loads for owner operators off of company drivers or vice versa? Absolutely not. Once that load is yours, it is yours. You are the one assigned to that load, unless something happens, um, like you break down or something like that. Obviously, then they might take that load, but who knows who it's going to? It might go to an owner op, it might go to a company driver. But no, they will not pull loads unless they cancel, which means you better be able and willing to take that load, because if it doesn't cancel, you're running that load. They do have planners 24/7, able to look for loads that match your PTA and all that stuff. Average miles per load and per week. That really depends. I'd say probably, I don't know much about the Crete side. I was told about 1,200 average per load. That doesn't mean that you will get 1,200 every load. There might be a load where you take 400 miles, but it'll get you to a better load. You might have to do it for a couple of days because that's all they have in your area. Average is just that, an average. So, I've heard 1,200. On the Shaffer side, I've seen more average about 900 per load per week. Not something that I can personally attest to because I broke down in the middle of my second week, and my first week was a short week. So, average miles per week, I've heard on the Shaffer side is about 2,500. On the Crete side is about 2,900. I'm inclined to believe the Shaffer one because I was set up by Tuesday. Our pay week ends on Friday night. On Tuesday, I was already set with 1,600 miles, and that was going to be a drop and hook at a Walmart. So I'm kind of inclined to believe that they'll give you miles. Do they micromanage? Oh, I've heard the horror stories about K&B Transport. I think Covenant was another one. Where right at your 10-hour break, they're calling you. They're waking you up. Why aren't you moving? Or if you're running reefer with K&B, it's, oh, well, you can make this a split sleeper. Why aren't you moving? It's been 8 hours. No, they don't micromanage you. They want you to pick up and deliver on time, safely and legally. That's it. If it wasn't for this breakdown, my asset manager wouldn't know who I am because I don't like to call in. I'm out here to do my job. So I don't like to call in. I don't like to be a pest. I mean, they might have 40 or 50 people on their board. So communication's key. But again, they don't micromanage you. They will give you a load. You accept it. You say, yes, I'll pick up. Yes, I'll deliver. Here's my PTA time. When you arrive to shipper, loaded call, here's my PTA, and that's when they'll start looking for another load for you. You get to your receiver, you've already got another load, arrived, empty call, boom, you're gone. And you're on your next load. It's that simple. I love the fact that they don't micromanage you here. So, yeah, that's that. I just want to remind you guys to be safe out there. Sorry that this video went on for a while. I wanted to get that information out to you guys. But you guys be safe out there. I hope to see you on the road. And take care.